Hi everyone, this is John, and the reading for my project is The China Study by Dr. Campbell. I'm very impressed with this book. I really enjoyed it so much that I've already referred it to a couple friends, and I refer it to all of you. I think it's a great read, especially for folks like us going into this field. A little bit about the author. He has an extensive background in research, and I think one of the reasons I really like this is because of his research, the time that he spent in the field, and he's in the trenches and he's learning and doing studies. Instead, a lot of these fads are based on somebody standing on somebody else's shoulders. This guy was kind of pioneering a lot of these concepts, and I really, really like that about this book. Some of his history: he started off at Cornell, and then went to MIT, and then taught at Virginia Tech for a while, and now he's back at Cornell as a chair in the nutrition department. He's worked overseas, he's worked with the government, he's worked with a lot of agencies to kind of pioneer health. He's done over 300 research articles, authored peer-reviewed research articles. I mean, he's really just in the trenches, and I really appreciate and respect that about him. One of the things that I think scoped this entire book was an experience that he had overseas when trying to solve nutrition problems for starving children. I want to say in the Philippines. He noticed an incidence of children receiving protein and getting sick. And he really kind of scopes this whole idea around why did this happen. And he reads a research study on a plane stating in India, where they stated two sets of rats were giving a carcinogen combined with different levels of protein. One set had 20%, the other set had 5%. And the ones with 20% with the carcinogen were getting cancer and dying. The ones with 5% were not getting cancer and were living healthy. So he started to really go against the grain, because at that time, and still kind of at this time, America feels like we have to have meat on our plate. If you're doing well, there's a steak on your plate. If you have money, you're going to have exotic meats and things like that. And he really feels like this is something that is a dogma that needs to be crushed, essentially because it's killing the American public slowly. So his study really revolves around, and his whole concept and everything following in the book after is a whole foods, plant-based diet, getting away from animal protein. Specifically, he likes to really bash on casein, the protein in cow's milk. So essentially, he goes into full detail, and he explains with research, and he explains with statistics, and he shows you specific diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and he takes each disease and he shows you this is what's going on, this is why it happens, and this is where nutrition can fix it. And he really kind of sets the stage and says, hey, what we're eating is wrong. We're running to the doctor for pills and surgery. And all we really need to do is change our foods, change what we're eating, get away from the processed food, eat more healthy food like fruits and vegetables, whole foods. And we as a public will start seeing better health. We'll stop seeing as much diabetes. And some of the things that I found thoroughly impressive is in a lot of the studies, they even gave children who were type 1 diabetes that, they were actually responding really well to these kind of diets and were requiring less insulin, which is, I think, fascinating, because it really lends credence to the idea that our diet is all wrong in the United States. I really feel like he's on a huge concept that is built on 30 plus years of experience, whereas opposed to there's a lot of diets out there that somebody just whips up. They just graduated from college. Here, this is what I heard, this is what I believe. This guy has actually questioned what he was taught and sat down and said, I'm going to take this research and I'm going to study it. I'm going to come up with the best kind of answer. And he's not selling the diet either. Another idea that I think is very important that he stresses in his book is he's obviously a very intelligent man, and he writes the book so that anybody can read it and understand it. If there's a statement or a word that he feels might be questionable for everybody to understand, he, in parentheses, describes that word for you. I find that many books sometimes assume that you know all these things, and a lot of people get frustrated. And I think a key to getting the United States back in shape is considering that this knowledge and this information is not just for people that are intelligent, or not for people that understand it. This should be something that is for all of us. This is something that our children should understand, for the next generation. And he really does a good job of describing information in a very layman term. You know, here it is, this is what I say, and this is how it works. I really enjoyed that part of the book as well. I think overall, I think his approach to picking various diseases and showing how nutrition affects them is reaching a wider audience. A lot of these books and a lot of these fad diets are for somebody who specifically wants to lose weight. And I think that's the wrong approach. I think there's many people out there that are at a healthy weight that are eating poorly. I've talked about my brother many times. My brother eats McDonald's like it's going out of style. The kid eats it constantly, and he's always skinny. The bottom line is he is opening himself up, according to Dr. Campbell, to exposure to cancer and other diseases down the line. He may not have it right now, but it's going to be a surefire bet that he's going to follow suit like everybody else and start having issues with diabetes and heart disease and everything else. And I feel like this is a good approach to try and pick up, say, hey, you know, not only that, but are you afraid of breast cancer? Is another one he went across. Are you afraid of breast cancer? Well, then you know what? Think about your diet. Don't think about these horrible things like, you know, removing the breast before it happens, and taking chemo and doing all these horrible treatments that in many cases leave people sicker and maimed. I think he says, hey, take a look at this, look at your food and change your diet. And I think that is just a fantastic approach, because it really connects us back with our food. And some closing notes. I feel like this was a book written for me. And you know, I think a lot of authors really want that. They want their person to say, pick it up and say, hey, this is just for me. And I really felt like that book was for me. I feel like I've struggled for a long time trying to lose weight. I've done miraculous things, but you know, I still have a long way to go. I think this was the missing component, because I, like the people he described and I talked about earlier, feel like meat is a cornerstone of your meal. And I feel after reading this, I am ready to say I don't need that meat. I'm going to start off by reducing it drastically, maybe do 2 to 4 ounces in a dinner, and that's it. And see if I can steadily get away from it if need be. I think it's one of those books that can change your life, and I really appreciate reading it. I hope that the rest of you get a chance to read it and feel the same way. I think it's really along the lines of what I believe, and I really appreciate it. So thank you. I appreciate any comments, or if you want to tease me because you hear the kids screaming in the background. I also am horrible. I had to do about 150 takes of this, so enjoy. Thank you, guys.